What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Awesemo MMA DFS strategy shows. We're here to get you ready for UFC Vegas number 41, which goes down on Saturday afternoon inside the UFC Apex, headlined by Paulo Costa, Marvin Vettori. Now a catchweight matchup of 195 pounds. We are going to break down this 14-fight card over the next hour. Of course, we are sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Later on the show, we'll talk about a little Monkey Knife Fight picks. Pete, it's always great to be here on a Thursday, talking a little MMA with you. First off, as we don't have FanDuel salaries out for this card yet, but looking at the DraftKings lines, obviously the Marvin Vettori line sticks out to me a little bit. We'll see what the Mason Jones, David Oyama lines be. Jonathan Martinez has a new fight, and it's a much different fight for him. Any general thoughts before we start getting into this one?
Man, it's just crazy to start with Paulo Costa with the most odd interview, I think, in recent memory of him basically saying, I'm basically 30 pounds away from where I need to be. And I don't know what I'm going to weigh come fight night. I don't know what weight the fight's at. And I think it's some, I think a lot is lost in translation, and I'm sure that there's more to the story. I don't think that he has the best English. Props to him for trying to speak English. But I feel like a manager should have stepped in and put out a statement so that everything's kind of on the table and clear.
Hold on, bro. Do you know who his manager is?
That is true. That is true. But I'm just saying, I'm sure you could see he's struggling to find words sometimes. But with all that being said, it's absolutely ridiculous, and there's no excuse to coming into fight week that heavy. It was definitely an ace up his sleeve, trying to come in heavy and have every advantage in the book in hopes that Marvin Vettori would just, overlook this issue and accept the fight. But that is definitely the elephant in the room, and we will definitely address it coming forward.
Yeah, I mentioned a question we had from one of our subscribers earlier, saying asking to add our speculation on Costa's weight, if Wally is pulling tricks, or are you alarmed? Also, want to talk about a few more matches we'll talk about later on in the show. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, when you're talking, you're 48 hours before the weigh-ins, and you're 26 pounds away from making weight. That is a warning sign, and clearly, this is something that whether he got to Vegas on Monday or Tuesday, the UFC was well aware where he was at, because they're doing a weight check once he gets in there. So, I mean, look, the first thing you look at is there an injury of why he's so heavy? Mm. The fact is he knew he signed a contract to make 186 pounds. Is this did it get to a point last week where the team around him said, there's no way you're getting 85? At that point, there should be conversations with the Vettori camp of where to go there. I mean, look, kudos to Marvin Vettori saying, "No, man, I'll fight you anyway." We'll see if Paulo Costa makes 195 pounds tomorrow. But I told you this earlier in text message. When I looked at the price point for Marvin Vettori, I might be 100% Marvin Vettori on Saturday, 8,600.
Oh God, Jason, I'm telling you.
Now look, I will sweat out the first 5 minutes. If you tell me this hits minute 6, it is Marvin Vettori's fight to lose all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I have confidence in Marvin Vettori. I am siding with him in the matchup, but I feel like there could have been better negotiations in regards to this. I think that Marvin Vettori's ego kind of just stepped in front of everything and said, "Yeah, I'll fight him at whatever. What weight do you want to fight at?" And I think that's not smart business at some point, because Paulo Costa is extremely dangerous for 2 rounds. I'll give him 2 rounds. After that, he really tapers off, and we haven't seen him in championship rounds. I think that a guy like Marvin Vettori can test him in multiple aspects of the game, where striking, pressure, wrestling, all these different scrambles. But you are allowing Paulo Costa to not cut as much weight. He's going to be able to hit extremely hard. It's just you need to get some compensation out of it, and I think that Marvin Vettori needs to definitely get a percentage of the purse, which I don't know if that's happening. I would love to hear that. But in addition to that, you just have to have this is a very smart fight. Well, not a smart fight. It's a very important fight for the division going forward. And, Marvin Vettori, I think, could go out there and make a statement, but I think he's going to have to be very careful for 10 minutes.
Look, I mean, breaking down this fight, Pete, is super simple. I think if you're Marvin Vettori, it's about pushing a pace and working in the wrestling. When you look at the statistics, Marvin Vettori lands 2.24 takedowns per, 15 minutes of fighting. 80% takedown defense rate for Paulo Costa. Your Paulo Costa, look, he's a volume puncher, lands 7 strikes per minute inside the octagon. So to me, and you mentioned, if Paulo Costa is going to win this fight, it's in the opening 2 rounds. But even before the weight, I really like Vettori in this spot, just because I thought his pace, his grappling would be a big edge to him in this matchup. Obviously, I think if you're the UFC, there's probably a lot of concerns on what is Paulo Costa going to look like on the scale tomorrow. And if he looks bad, could we potentially see a doctor situation? And oh my God, are we talking about a UFC card in 2021 headlined by Grant Dawson and Ricky Glenn?
Oh my goodness. Crazy, right? Yeah, I think that, Paulo Costa is trying to have everything in his favor, not cut as much weight, which could potentially boost up his cardio. I definitely think that could happen. I just don't view him as a 5-round fighter, and I don't think anybody can view him as that because we haven't seen it. And until we see him in the championship rounds, we really don't know how he's going to look. I mean, in round 3, he tapers off, but that's a high-paced fight against Yoel Romero. I don't think that he had a great performance against Adesanya. I do think that he has significant power, and if he lands against Marvin Vettori, who keeps his chin up in the air at some points, despite having good striking and part of King's MMA, I definitely think he can hit Marvin Vettori and knock him out within 10 minutes. I mean, I will have exposure, and I'm not going to be so blinded in the Marvin Vettori direction. It's more like a 70-30 for me, just because of the GPP factors surrounding Paulo Costa. I mean, I still like Marvin Vettori as the overall better mixed martial artist, but if Vettori can't take him down, he could be a sitting duck for some big power shots in the early going.
In cash games, I really love Marvin Vettori. In this spot, of course, if you do have any questions about these fights, be sure to leave those in the chat. Of course, if you're not subscribed to Awesemo right here on YouTube, be sure to do that. Got a ton of great shows for you each and every day. The NBA is back, so following us, we got Deeper Dive live before lock, and then later on tonight, we got the NFL Showdown live before lock. And also be sure to check out today's pre-framing data and tools over at Awesemo.com, which is PGA golfer rankings, and our NBA opening tip giveaway pinned at Awesemo_com on Twitter for a chance to win a free year of Awesemo Plus NBA. I had a decent night last night. NBA, this is, NBA's, NBA is probably one of my favorite DFS sports to play with there, but it's a challenging because literally you have to be around the computer all night long because late swap. And I will tell you, if you're new to NBA DFS, go check out the video Josh and Adam did earlier this week about, basically a guide to NBA DFS. Was absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, they do fantastic work for NBA DFS. We have some of the best people in the business all together working together. And I love just, going to our channel and seeing which videos I missed. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything that comes out. But I will say that opening night was extremely successful for me. Last night was pretty damn good as well. So, opening tip-off was great. I love basketball, especially NBA DFS.
Co-main event of this fight card, we got Grant Dawson taking on Ricky Glenn. Grant Dawson 9,300, 69. Dawson 9,300, Ricky Glenn 6,900. By the way, as we're doing this show, FanDuel's not released salaries, so I'll keep hitting that refresh to see if we get some salaries there over on FanDuel. But Pete, to me, this is like if I am in the Grant Dawson corner, to me, this is about let's not make this a kickboxing matchup. Let's make this a wrestling match.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that Grant Dawson in any fight's going to want to be, on the outside and just strike. I don't think he's going to be content doing that. And I have a really hard time fading anybody from James Krause. And I also have a very hard time fading anybody from Sanford MMA. In 2021, they are some of the best camps in MMA entirely. And I just love what James Krause is doing. Obviously, he had a little hiccup last week, but I think that Grant Dawson's in a great spot against Ricky Glenn, who relatively, had a very short performance his last time out. And, before that, there were questions surrounding his takedown defense. And I think that's where we're going to see Grant Dawson really explode in GPPs today. He has tremendous potential at 9,300. I can see him getting consecutive takedowns, tons of, control time en route to a finish via ground and pound or submissions. I do think that Ricky Glenn hits hard, right? But I think that they're going to have something dialed up for the style of Ricky Glenn. And I think that Grant Dawson's a tremendous play. Ricky Glenn's a low percent play for me this week. He could definitely come through. He came through last week. And last time out had a tremendous KO, but I just don't really see it happening against a tenacious fighter in Grant Dawson. So I'm siding significantly with Grant Dawson. I feel pretty damn confident that he's going to go out there and get it done in a dominant fashion. He's one of the best grapplers on the slate, so you definitely need exposure here.
Yeah, as long as he grapples. I mean, that to me is a big thing with him, especially at that price point of 9,300. And guy gives a kudos to James Krause. I don't know how many coaches would come out and say, you know what? Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I should not have told my fighter that. I mean, you've been around this game for a long time. That may be stuff that gets said privately. There's not a lot of coaches who will say that publicly.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. James Krause is just, a tremendous piece in MMA coaching right now. And if anybody can go out there and train with him, I highly, highly suggest I might have to do it. I'm telling you, I just love everything that he's doing at Glory MMA, and he's one of the best minds out there.
Yeah, and you got to remember, this is a card that has a trio of Glory MMA fighters on this. So you've got Grant Dawson on this card. You also have David Onama, who's stepping up on short notice. Talk about him here in a little bit. Also, Jeff Molina on this card as well. Of course, the last time we saw Jeff Molina put an unbelievable DraftKings score out there. Next up, we got a female matchup of Rose Clarke taking on Edwards here. Rose Clarke, 8,500, 7,700 for Edwards. One of the most interesting things I saw with Jessica Rose Clarke over, I would say, about the past 2 weeks, spending some time out in California and working with Daniel Cormier and his wrestling academy.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Jessica Rose Clarke, I view her as the A side of this fight, but I think that this could be very, very competitive in moments. I think that Jocelyn Edwards is extremely aggressive, and her aggressive striking can, put her back into contention in the fights and in the rounds where, it's a very, very close round. She could have lost, let's say 3.5 minutes of it, but in the final minute and a half, she starts to, put it on her opponent, and that late aggressiveness is what can sometimes move the needle for the judges. And I think a fighter in Jessica Rose Clarke is checking more boxes than Edwards is at this point. I think that, she has some wrestling in her back pocket by working with Daniel Cormier. In addition to that, I like the camp that she's at, CSA over in Cali. It was one of the best striking camps out there, but they also do a lot of crossover work with Team Alpha Male. And now when I see that she's over there working with Daniel Cormier, I like that as well. And when she's sparring Gaston Bolanos and all these Adam Piccolotti, all these fantastic fighters out there, I just like it. So I'm siding with Jessica Rose Clarke at 8,500. It's a fight that I feel is going to go the distance. There could be tons of points, but if Jessica Rose Clarke starts to implement takedowns, I think that's the safest approach here, because Edwards is a very, very aggressive striker. Clarke is fantastic in the clinch especially, and that's where all the work at CSA will start to show. You saw in her last performance, she looked amazing. She looked like a championship Muay Thai fighter. So I'm siding with Clarke here, but I'm telling you, Edwards is one of the underdogs on the slate that can actually win a decision. So I'm guessing this is going to go the distance. So I'll have exposure to Edwards, but I'm siding with Clarke.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look up and down this card, you're gonna have to take some chances with some underdogs that you may not feel the most confident with. So that's gonna be part of your evaluation when it comes to this line. Next up, we got Alex Caceres taking on Sung Yu Choi. Choi 9,200, 7,000 for Bruce Leroy, who of course has been around the UFC for some time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm starting to really like Sung Woo Choi. He's starting to answer some questions and check some boxes for me. He's going to have a slight reach and height advantage in this matchup. I think that Alex Caceres has notable experience, 30 fights, been in the UFC forever. I think that for most fighters, he's a tricky one because they place him up against, we'll say, relatively green competition for the UFC, and he starts to shine in moments where he can take advantage of low output or kind of counter striking on the outside with some sneaky jiu-jitsu. He's well-rounded, but I still view him not at the same caliber that I view Sung Woo Choi. I like what I'm seeing from Sung Woo Choi. I like the power. I like the improvements. I'm siding with Sung Woo Choi significantly in this matchup. I think that this is a perfect matchup for him to start to build on some momentum in the division. I think that he's rounding out and starting to, reach his prime. It's going to be his fourth consecutive win in this bout if he could pull it off. And when I see him get victories over Yusuf Zalal and Julian Erosa, the way that he finished Erosa was fantastic. And we see that Erosa, if you can't put his lights out, he's extremely competitive and can, he's one of the most well-rounded guys in the division with, he's chinny at certain times, but if he's able to absorb some shots, he's a dog that's going to fight for your money. And that's why I like Sung Woo Choi. I like the competition he's beaten at 9,200. He definitely has some upside. It's just of how tough Alex Caceres is to get out of there. I don't really see him submitting Alex Caceres, so I'll probably say Sung Woo Choi will win a decision here, but I still like him, and we'll have plenty of exposure.
Now, a storyline from last week was there's still some fighting these old dogs with Andre Arlovsky and Jim Miller. I mean, look, I'm 40. I didn't realize Dwight Grant's 37. Trinaldo, I don't necessarily believe he's only 43.
Yeah, right. I know.
He looks older. He looks older than that, bro.
Yeah, he does.
Of course, Tom Brady looks like he's 30 years old. So
that is true. Yeah, we have like two opposite ends of the spectrum right there between Tom Brady and Trinaldo. I'll say that Trinaldo, his skills haven't seemed to have gone anywhere. And if anything, it looks like he's here to stay. He's a staple for the division. I don't even want to look at that age because I just feel like he's stable and he looks very, very good in the division. He hits hard. He has good striking, some sneaky grappling as well. I think he's a tricky fighter for a lot of people to come in there. And I don't know how many times I've picked somebody to go in there and take him out. And it just doesn't happen. So I'm kind of tired of doing it. I wasn't too impressed with Dwight Grant in his previous performance. He had moments in that Daniel Rodriguez fight where he rocked him and hurt him. And then we saw when Rodriguez was able to overcome that and put the pressure on him, he ended up getting finished. So, Dwight Grant could easily get knocked out in this matchup. Yes, I know he hits hard, but I'm going to side with Trinaldo despite the elder. He's older, but I like the experience there. I like the 34 fights in comparison to the 14 of Dwight Grant. So, yeah, give me Trinaldo. Not sure if I like it so much for DFS. Again, I can see this going the distance, but Trinaldo hits damn hard, and he did knock out Jai Herbert. So I'll have exposure to him, but I'll temper expectations. 8,400. There's probably better plays on the slate.
Might be more of a cash play for me than a GPP play.
I'd agree.
But yeah, I'm like you. How many times have we just bet against Trinaldo and he just goes out there and he proves us all wrong? Mm-hmm. Now, there are two fights on this card that I'm just like, who do you trust more?
Okay.
Who do you trust more, Nikolai or Villanueva?
I totally trust Nego Mariano 100%. I trust him a lot more than I trust Ike Villanueva.
How could you trust Ike?
No, I can't trust Ike. I really can't. It's because I think that he's so one-dimensional. He's a striker. His volume is okay. He doesn't really wear damage well. He doesn't seem to have a well-rounded skill set. I don't know, man. I actually really like Nego Mariano a lot in this matchup. I think that the aspects I saw in the fight against Alexa Kamer, the takedowns, the aggressiveness, the rounded out in his game, I like him here at 9,100. I think he's sneaky. I think that he could easily get rid of Villanueva via strikes, via grappling. So 9,100, I think he's a pretty strong option if we're being honest. I like him. I mean, it's a combination of fading Villanueva and also, kind of building on the momentum I saw from Nego Mariano in his previous performance.
I wonder how much of leg kicks will be a part of his game plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should, right? I mean, he does not absorb damage well at all.
He's
you kick him in the leg, you kick him in the body. You saw that against, Pragneo. It's just, it's a fighter that I'm okay getting away from. He's tough. He's fought a lot of people, but he sometimes breaks under pressure. And I think that's going to happen here against Nego Mariano, who has some sneaky grappling upside.
And if Ike is going to pull it off, it would be a first round stoppage. That's just all you got to do is look up and down his record. That's what it is. When he gets the wins, his first round, when he gets to the second round, that's when things kind of stumble across. So, it could be a potential live betting option if this thing does hit the second round. Mm-hmm. But I mean, look, Nikolai, to me, I'd much rather get to him in this one, but this is also one of those matchups. I mean, look, when we're talking about this division, this is the low end of the UFC light heavyweight division.
Oh, 100%. And if you want to just view it, kind of black and white, this is low level mixed martial arts in a higher weight class. And sometimes it's very volatile and it takes one shot to really change anything. So Ike Villanueva has power. Let's give him some props there, but I'm sided with Nego Mariano. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate, and he'll be a part of my parlays.
Then we got Park and Rodriguez, 8,200 for Park, 8,000 for Rodriguez. Junior Park, we saw him go we've seen him go the takedown route. Of course, one of those fights against John Phillips. So, well, Pete would shoot a takedown against John Phillips.
I mean, I would be more than content to stand with him, but I would tell you that would be the easiest path. It's just to shoot a takedown and put John Phillips on his back.
Look, I don't know how many people John Phillips will stop a takedown against. It's just not as if you're promoting John Phillips fight, you want to have a verbal agreement that, hey, we're just going to stand and bang it out here. But Rodriguez is dangerous on the ground with his jiu-jitsu though. So if he does take it there, it's got to be something he's got to be concerned about. That's why I think this fight's going to play on the feet. Yeah,
and I actually really like Rodriguez. It's not a fight that I'm prioritizing because I can see how this is going to be an evenly matched contest where they kind of go back and forth. And Park has skills, usually is the superior wrestler. He has to be very careful, as you mentioned, if he takes down Rodriguez, because Rodriguez's jiu-jitsu is fantastic on the feet. Park, I think, is hittable, does put together some good offensive combinations. Rodriguez, same thing goes for him. He has been knocked out several times, but he's at Sanford MMA, and I like that room. I like the room of Sanford MMA. I love the wrestling caliber that's in there. I love the striking coaches and the striking techniques that you're getting from partner to partner. I'm siding with Rodriguez here. I know it's a tough fight. I think that he can kind of, get 2 in a row. I think it's going to be tough sledding at times, but I'm going to favor him. I think that he has some sneaky potential at 8,000. So I'll target him. Again, not a fight that I'm prioritizing, but I'm leaning in his direction.
Before we get into some monkey knife fight picks, got to let you know about a promo we got going on right now over Awesemo.com as we are celebrating the start of the NBA season, and we have a tip-off deal which grants all new Awesemo Plus members 50% off their first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All you got to do is use the promo code CURRY, CURRY, at checkout. That's promo code CURRY to activate this offer, because full access to all the premium content and tools we have over Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our NBA boom bust tool, lineup builders, and so much more. Offer is valid through Monday, October 25th. So hurry up and lock in this deal to start your Awesemo Plus membership for only $15. Great deal we got going on over there to start the NBA season. Once again, that is promo code CURRY, like Steph Curry. So, Pete, let's get into some monkey knife fight picks. I know there's always people kind of paying attention to see what we might throw out here in terms of monkey knife fight picks. And, of course, I want to start with the main event, and it is a double less play for me. Marvin Vettori, 126.5, Paul Costa, 75.5. I don't think this thing is hitting the 4th round. I think this fight's over by the 3rd round. Either Paul Costa knocks out Vettori in the first 5 minutes, or Marvin Vettori TKOs him on the ground. By the way, should mention, Marvin Vettori never been knocked down, never been defeated by TKO in his career.
I got to say, that's like a Sam over-under right there. I have to completely disagree with you on that one. I think that we're going to hit double more on those, because if you even look at the volume that Costa had in the Romero fight, he reaches that number. And I think Marvin Vettori is going to reach that number as well. I think it's going to play out on the feet, and then Marvin Vettori is probably going to struggle to get takedowns until he starts to really fatigue Costa. So I'm saying double more. You got to stop listening and hanging out with Sam. I think that he's starting to really rub off on you.
Hold on here. So Paulo Costa against Yoel Romero land 118. 75 against Uriah Hall. So he doesn't get past that number for more there. Johnny Hendricks, 49.
He's going to get more than 75.5.
You have way too much faith in his gas tank.
I'm telling you. I mean, I think that, he has good takedown defense. He's not going to be cutting so much weight. I think he will gas 100%, but I think he's going to swing, while he's trying to avoid gassing. It's going to be a double more.
Look, he may not have had a first-class ticket to Las Vegas this week. He might have been on that Southwest flight. I'm telling you, Marvin Vettori is going to put him on a first-class ticket to Takedown City.
I like it, but he can still take him to Takedown City, and they can still reach those numbers. I think that we're both, right in that aspect, but that's way too low for Paulo Costa.
All right, co-main event, Grant Dawson, 84.5, Ricky Glenn, 56.5.
That one's weird. going to be a grappling heavy fight. It's just,
That's the thing. That's the thing where the question becomes is if you think this thing goes 15 minutes, I probably like the more on Dawson just because of ground strikes, when he can land on the ground. The 56.5 for Ricky Glenn. If you think this thing's going 15 minutes, I think you do a double more on this one.
It's tough. I definitely think that Ricky Glenn's going to, I might say double less, because I think that Grant Dawson's going to be so grappling oriented that he's going to be looking for more submissions than fatiguing himself with ground and pound in this matchup, given the toughness of Ricky Glenn. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to say double less.
Of course, be sure to head over to monkeyknifefight.com to sign up. And when you do sign up, you use that promo code Awesemo. They have an instant match deposit up to $100. All you gotta do is use that promo code Awesemo. So head over to monkeyknifefight.com to get started. Be sure to use our player props tool to help you in terms of what the props you're playing, maybe some little NBA props that you want to play over there tonight. Let's move on to the next fight. We got a matchup that came together just this week. Mason Jones now taking on David Onama. David Onama is a fighter out of Glory MMA Fitness, James Krause's gym. He has been he just won the Fighting Alliance Championship featherweight title not too long ago. I mean, look, this guy was already on the path to be in the UFC. This is a tough fight for him. I will say this. We don't know what the DraftKings lines are going to be. My guess is going to be Mason Jones is probably going to be 9,400. I don't mind a dart throw on David Onama in this spot.
I really like this fight. I think it's a significant jump up in competition for David Onama. If you go back and you watch some of his regional tape, I think that he is a well-rounded fighter. He looks good, but there is at least one fight where I've seen him on his back. And, when I see that on the regional scene, I'm like, okay, well, you can build on that and probably get better. But that doesn't really inspire confidence when I see you going up against one of the best prospects in the game, in my opinion, in Mason Jones. I think that Mason Jones is just, I think he puts it all together well. I like him at Team Alpha Male, getting good training there. I think his wrestling's always going to be sharp. I know that they wanted to get David Onama in the door, and they did that. But I think that it's going to be Mason Jones coasting at times. Have to be very, very careful with the dangerous David Onama early on. But I'll have to see what the salary is. It's definitely a GPP fight, given the skill set of Onama in the camp that he's coming from. But I think that Krause's gym is going to go 2-1 this week. And I think that Onama is going to pick up his first loss to Mason Jones.
I mean, look, there's a reason Mason Jones will be the heavy favorite in this one. To me, and it is just about, if I'm looking to play a dart throw, I mean, this is also one of the situations where I go, why?
Yeah.
Why is David Onama's management putting him in this spot just to get him into the UFC? I think there's better spots.
Well, there's way better spots, right? Like there's way better spots. And he could come in there and shock the world and end up pulling off the upset, knocking out Mason Jones. But when I look at everything I've seen from Mason Jones throughout his career and even in his debut I gotta say, I like Mason Jones quite a bit. He looked damn good in that previous fight against Alan Patrick until the accidental eye poke. So I think it's a smash spot for Mason Jones.
Next up, we got a female matchup at 115 pounds. Ricci taking on Oliveira. Ricci 8,900. Oliveira 7,300. Of course, Ricci now back at 115 pounds after coming on short notice, losing to Fioretti earlier this year. Look, Tabitha Ricci's got to get this one to the ground. If this thing's on the feet, Pete, I might take a dart on the underdog, but Ricci's grappling. Her jiu-jitsu is next level.
It's a weird fight. And it's a really weird fight because of the stature of Ricci and how when she debuted, she debuted against Manon Fiorot. So you can't really take any of that, kind of like, oh, wow, she looked good or she looked horrible because she looked terrible. But it's against Manon Fiorot. And I don't think that really, gives her credit for her skill set. I think that in some of her fights on the regional scene, she'll shoot an immediate takedown, get on top. And when I've seen her on top, she looks good. Her jiu-jitsu's sound. I know that she has some sneaky throws as well. Her striking is probably not the best. And then I can look at Oliveira's regional tape and I can say, wow, well, on the feet, she's probably the better fighter of the two. And she can stuff the initial takedown But when she's planning on her back and she's on her back, she's getting, she's in really bad positions where I can see Ricci taking advantage and submitting her. I can see her, just getting control time and tons of, we could say like rounds in the bank. This is a tricky one though, because is Ricci able to close that distance and actually put Oliveira on her back? Because Oliveira, if you look at the tape, she defends the initial takedown well. It's the chaining of the takedowns that's kind of where she struggles, and it's where a lot of wrestlers and fighters in general struggles defending the second, third options. Can Ricci really kind of put all that together? It's tough to say. I think the line is extremely wide, 8,900 to 7,300. I think that's extremely wide. I view this as a GPP fight. I really do. I think somebody's getting a big score and somebody's getting a low score. I'm okay with going to the underdog in some of my lineups. I don't have all this confidence for Ricci at 8,900 that she's just going to, take her down and completely impose her will. She could, and I'm going to have exposure, but it's somewhat of a 50-50 fight for me. Do you lean one way or another?
I mean, if I'm going to lean one way, it'd be Ricci because of her jiu-jitsu ability. But the thing is, and there's several fights in this card we can point this to, is it's the lower end of the respective divisions inside the UFC with these matchups. And so I would say this, I was talking about this on my podcast on yesterday. Last week was a light bulb moment for me. And it shouldn't have been a light bulb moment. As I'm watching the UFC, then I turn over to Bellator. And it's just like, yeah, UFC doesn't have to sell one ticket while Bellator is trying to sell tickets. So Bellator is going to put their best foot forward, put the best fights on the card. Yeah. Look, these fight night cards at the Apex. It's just, we're just going to throw fires out there. We don't have to worry about whether or not they can sell a ticket or not.
It's true.
It's just, and I think until the UFC gets back to the road show, these are the type of fight night cards we're going to see for a long time.
We've been seeing them for a while now, right? I mean, like we've seen some of the ugliest cards in the past 2 years, year and a half than we have.
But
in
it feels like
decade.
It's getting worse, Pete.
I mean, it's also like they're signing so many people because of the Contender Series, and then you're also just having tons of issues because of COVID and fighters dropping out. That the level in the UFC now is this. There's plenty of skill, but I just feel like getting into the UFC now isn't what it used to be.
Oh no, and the fact of the memo that got sent out to the foreign fighters this week of, hey, if you're a foreign fighter, trying to fight in the United States, if you're not fully vaccinated by November 8th, you're not fighting the United States.
And it's tough, right? Because you have these fighters. We fight a couple times a year if we're lucky. Probably a lot of fighters are fighting once a year. And you have all this inactivity, paying for your training, paying for all these different expenses, and now you're kind of throwing a monkey wrench. And I mean, get vaccinated, go out there and start fighting. But still, you have to bank on the UFC wanting to put you back in there. And not everybody gets the Kevin Holland treatment.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I do wonder when we get into the early part of 2022, are we going to find ourselves where it's a Saturday afternoon, we got a card in Abu Dhabi at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then at 7 o'clock at night, we got another fight night card in Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting world we live in. Next up, we got a matchup that I know we were talking a couple weeks ago of Jamie Pickett and Laureano Staropoli, 9,000, Pickett 7,200. And Pete, the biggest thing that sticks out to you when you look at the teletape, you look at that reach, 9-inch reach advantage for Jamie Pickett.
Yeah, I view this fight as a GPP fight for sure. I think that Jamie Pickett makes tons of mistakes defensively, and I don't think that he likes getting hit at times. And I'm going to side with Staropoli at 9,000. I think that he puts it together. I think despite, being at this weight class, I think we can see him get a finish. He hasn't been finished, and he's been the distance in all of his UFC fights. So I am siding with Staropoli significantly in this matchup. He's going to be a parlay piece for me. I like the hand speed. I like the fact that he's a training partner of Charles Oliveira. I just love everything about him in this matchup, and I don't really know if Jamie Pickett is UFC caliber. He got knocked out against Jordan Wright, lost the decision to Fon and Chukwi. Nothing to really, hang your head at for that. I just view Staropoli as a guy that hasn't really had that breakout performance, and I think that we're going to see one on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jane Pickett is one of the guys. I think it's you kind of look at like you look at Ike Villanueva, someone that if you
Mhm.
want to make a dart because you think they can win by stoppage, great, but definitely people that maybe you don't want to put a ton of trust in. Let me mention a couple of pair questions over from the YouTube chat here. Anthony saying thoughts on stacking Costa and Vettori. If this was a 10 fight card, I could
Yeah,
see that thought process, but at 14 fights, I
I'm gonna
just don't
say
see
no.
that being that. Next up says Spencer asking who you guys think is the best MVP is on FanDuel and best cheap play. Well, we don't have salaries, so it's kind of
Mhm.
hard, in terms of cheap plays. But I think when you look at, to me, in terms of MVPs on FanDuel, and I'm sure he's going to be priced very high. I'm looking at Martin Vettori is going to be someone that I'm going to look at because of it. I understand maybe you'll go to Costa if you think Costa can stop the takedowns there.
Mhm.
Sung Yu Choi may be another guy that I'm looking at as an MVP over FanDuel.
Yeah, I like Sung Woo Choi a lot. And I think that Marvin Vettori is probably the safest one over on that platform. Just going to be able to piece it all together in a 5 round fight. Hopefully he's not, too expensive, but I like those two options.
Just saying, Jai Herbert may be another one you want to look at. We'll talk about him in a moment.
Hmm.
Someone asked if Tim Johnson's going to beat Fedor. Tim Johnson beats Fedor on Saturday. He better knock him out. You're in Russia. You can't count on getting a decision against Fedor in Russia. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. Just saying.
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to side with Fedor. He does not look like Fedor of old, but I'm going to still side with Fedor.
Yeah, it's that'll be on Saturday afternoon. Kind of, I haven't really taken a deep dive into the betting odds on that one, but if it's a Russian fighter versus a
Not
non-Russian
even going to do
fighter,
it.
don't even just take the Russian fighter and
No,
move
I'm
on.
not even doing it, Jason. The reason I'm not doing it is just because I already know how it's going to go. So, yeah, no. I'll bet on UFC. I'll bet on every other sport. I'm not betting on Bellator this week.
Yeah, it's if that fight was in the US, I'd pick Tim Johnson to win. But yeah, it's
No way.
that's not one. You mentioned about fights we really got target for GPPs and
Hmm.
common worthy John Herbert to me is that type of fight this week.
Yep.
8,800 for Herbert, 7,400 for Common Worthy. I mean, look, this is the thing about Common Worthy. He's going to go for it.
Hmm.
But obviously, everyone's going to have questions about his chin in this one. I think if Common Worthy gets this job done here and pulls off the upset, he went the grappling route.
It's interesting, right? Like, I mean, he likes to bang and he likes to throw killer combinations with vicious intent, but he's on the receiving end of it a lot, and he does not handle that well. He's been knocked out more times than uh, a lot of fighters, to be honest. He's been knocked out quite a bit, and he's taken so much damage that when he got into the UFC, I really didn't see him even getting into the UFC because of how he loses his fights.
Yeah.
And also how volatile he is in each matchup, where it's not like losing a decision or he's getting viciously knocked out, and I don't know. You start to worry about what could happen. And I think that a guy who hasn't shown off his potential is Jai Herbert. He's fought two legitimate, opponents, very, very difficult opponents. If you really want to break it down, Trinaldo and then Moicano. Facing off against both of these guys in your first two UFC fights is extremely high caliber. And now going up there against a guy who's been knocked out, several times, I think that this is not a layup because he's going to have to be very, very careful and be mindful of the combinations and exiting and all of that stuff. But Jai Herbert is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. He's a parlay piece for me. I understand it's very dangerous. Targeting the under is probably the safest way to go about this matchup. Common Worthy will be a part of plenty of people's underdog pool because of what he can do when he wins.
Yeah.
It's a small percentage chance when he does, but he has a high boom score when he comes through. And I will say that Jai Herbert is going to be the fighter to go out there and get it done on Saturday. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't. If he goes 0-3 in the UFC, I think they release him because they're trying to give him a winnable fight here. So Jai Herbert 8,800 is going to be a significant piece of my lineups. I like him quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you talk about the ultimate boom bust players on this slate, it's Common Worthy, it's Ike Villanueva.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's two fighters I'm really not trying to get to.
Yeah, I mean, and they're guys that if they go out there and win, yeah, that they're probably getting you 90 plus points. But if they go out and lose 15 or less,
yeah, single digits, you know what you're getting into. it's okay to take flyers on fighters like that. But yeah, I'm not going to do it. I think that I think Jai Herbert wins, and I think that Nego Mariano is going to win as well.
Next up, we got a matchup at 125 pounds. Jeff Molina taking on Daniel Lacerdo. 8,700 for Molina, 7,500 here for Daniel. Of course, Jeff Molina was a DFS stud in his last fight. He was part of that optimal lineup there. Of course, obviously going with what he was able to do, 8.83 strikes landed per minute in his UFC 2 fights he's had.
Yeah, crazy, right? This fight's going to be a tricky one. And it's going to be a tricky one because De Silva is dangerous for as long as he's in the fight. And Jeff Molina is kind of a guy that grinds away and starts to put combinations together and beats you as you start to get tired and starts to pull away with the fight. I'm intrigued with the underdog here. I really am. There aren't too many underdogs on the slate that I have circled, and De Silva is one of them because of his kicking dexterity and how funky he is. His style is weird. And whenever you are weird, you present a different wrinkle to your opponent that can actually throw them off and you can catch them off guard, especially when you're talking about kicks. Kicks coming from odd angles from De Silva. He's extremely aggressive. He seems mean. And sometimes that ultra aggressiveness can throw fighters off. So if Molina does not get the respect early, you could see De Silva go out there and trying to go like a maniac for, let's call it 7.5, 8 minutes. And that could actually work in his favor. But Molina's going to have to early the weather storm if I have to, kind of predict. And he's a part of a great camp with a great strategy. I'm still going to side with Molina, but De Silva is one of my favorite, most intriguing underdogs that I'm going to probably be a little bit more aggressive on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of look at what ownership projections are going to be. Of course, that's one of the great reasons being also a plus member to get those projections to see where the fighters are at. 2 more matchups here left to go. We got Souza and Marcos. Lavina Souza, 8,300. Ronald Marcos, 7,900. Mentioned a question from one of our subscribers says, I'd like to challenge you guys to present any reason whatsoever to include Souza and Marcos in my player pool for a 20 max.
I mean, well, if you can look, Brandon Marcos has not really come through in her past 4 fights. And then before that, she's alternating wins and losses for a while. But, she's always there in a fight, but she can get out grappled at times and caught. I think that Brandon Marcos has faced legitimate competition for sure, but it's very tough. I don't understand. I like Brandon Marcos a lot. Lavina Souza hasn't really lived up to the hype from her regional scene into the UFC. She got absolutely demolished against Lemos, lost the decision to Van Buren, but has a win over Yoder, Frota, and Chambers. I mean, like Brandon Marcos has wins like that as well. This is a very, very low level fight. And I think that, man, will this fight be a part of the optimal?
You're probably not going to like what I'm going to say here.
You're going to say, yeah.
Why do I think Ronda Marcos is a play in this one?
I feel like she might be, but let's also think about the grappling pedigree of Souza. If she gets her hands on you, she can take you down. She can control you. She can, work towards a submission. Her striking is probably not going to be on the level of Brandon Marcos. And Marcos is live all the time. Like, she's live to win wrestling scrambles and get on top. It's just, can she avoid getting submitted and put something stupid? I'm going to root for Brandon Marcos. I really, really am. And she has significant UFC experience. So if you kind of want to use that as like the difference maker in breaking this fight down, like, oh, okay, well, the fighter with more UFC experience is Brandon Marcos, despite having a lopsided record. I really don't know on this fight, Jason. I don't really know too many people that have a good read on this fight, right? It's kind of like have exposure to both, trust neither.
Yeah, you look at Souza, she doesn't have a markable win in the UFC. Her wins UFC, Alex Chambers, Sarah Froto, and Ashley Yoder. It's still kind of crazy, even though that streak that Marcos is currently on, and then the alternating wins and losses, she does have a win against Carlos Esparza.
Yeah, that is freaking wild, bro. If you ever want to kind of like wrap your brain around stuff, it's just insane. MMA math just does not work. It's so crazy.
No.
And then you think about how Reina Marcos, got rid of Angela Hill. Man, the skills are there. The IQ is not. What do we
Yeah, I
do?
know.
What do we do? Okay, what do we do? We're gonna have more exposure to the underdog here in Reina Marcos, but I hate both options for DFS.
So you got a roster, one of four.
Okay.
Souza, Marcos,
I already know where you're going with this.
Villanueva. Give me your roster.
I guess I'm gonna go with Marcos, I guess, bro. Like, what are we?
Not great options. Not great
Picking
options.
up scraps right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But of course, one of the things that Pete and I love to see after the fights are over are those winning lineups. Mm-hmm. And we love to get you into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. Of course, you rock that Awesemo avatar on your DFS profile. You get that awesemo.com/avatar. Place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants. Tweet your wins to @Awesemo, HOF on Twitter, and you win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Only one free month can be awarded to a user per calendar year. Congratulations there to Big Daddy 7420 taking down $60,000, chopping out first place there. Also, Praz Racing taking down first place over there in an NBA contest, highlighted there by Giannis and Steph Curry there on opening night. Kudos to P. Hanley 214. We've seen him in multiple times as taking down $50,000 over there in NBA as well. Of course, you also see some showdown contest winners there as well. So congratulations to everyone with those winning lineups. We always love seeing those winning lineups after a fight card is over. Of course, we do have one more fight here to break down here, Pete, and that is the opening fight of the matchup. Jonathan Martinez was a 3.5-1 betting favorite, Pete, against Aaron Phillips. He is now a betting underdog.
It's weird. It's a weird fight, man, for bantamweight, and how Jonathan Martinez kind of was like so up there in my mind of what he could do in the division. The performances against Frankie Saenz and then Thomas Almeida, like those were excellent. I thought, despite David Grant's power and toughness, I thought that he was going to be able to get that victory as well. Ended up getting knocked out in that matchup, and now paired up against a prospect who is undefeated, coming over from LFA. More of a grappler.
Hold on. We got to talk about prior to coming to LFA, though.
Hold on. I was getting there. All right. He's a prospect because he's undefeated and he gets finishes. And he's more of a grappler. But if you look at his, strength of schedule, it is brutal. I mean, there are very few times that you start to really top records that I've seen. And, this record of fighting multiple winless fighters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 winless fighters. That's absurd. But then he did get a victory over a 24-10 opponent and a 6-0 opponent. But yeah, I'm siding with Jonathan Martinez, man. I'm siding with Jonathan Martinez.
Bro, all the way until he got to LFA. Oh no. All pro. Dude, why are you 10-9-0, 10-0, 8-0, 7-0? Why are you taking on pro debuters?
Hey, do these guys, are they even alive? Do we know that these are real people? I feel like he just went
so I just started looking at, his fight for LFA, that guy is now 0-1. The one before that is 0-3. Next guy, he's 5-6. 0-1. That's always good. Another 0-1.
They know how to build their fighters, but yeah, man. I mean,
look, he's a Georgian fighter. We've seen out Georgian fighter, high pace. Obviously, when you go over to LFA and you win the LFA title, you're coming into the UFC. It's just because of that strength of schedule prior to getting LFA. I kind of want to see him with these bright lights to see what he looks like. Jonathan Martinez has been kind of an up and down guy. Does tend to find himself in close fights.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that. I don't care. I'm not betting on this guy's Viad. I think he has skills in the grappling department. I still think that Jonathan Martinez does it as well, but he has to get it there. And I think that Jonathan Martinez beats, multiple UFC fighters. I think that if he employs the correct game plan and he stays safe in this matchup, I think he's going to walk away with the victory. We'll have to see on the pricing, but I'm not talking myself out of it. I'm sided with Jonathan Martinez over Zviad Lazishvili.
Of course, if you do have any questions, be sure to line those up over there in YouTube. We'll get to those as we got about 5 minutes here left of the show. Let's go our straight up fight picks. Let's start here at the main event. You heard me. I'm going Marvin Vettori.
Okay, I'm going Marvin Vettori as well.
I will go Grant Dawson against Ricky Glenn.
Dawson.
And by the way, these are straight up fight picks, nothing DFS related. I will take Jessica Rose Clarke against Jocelyn Edwards.
Rose Clarke.
I like Choi against Caceres.
Yep, Choi.
I'm not going to bet against Trinaldo. I've done that before and it's never worked out. So just give me Trinaldo.
Yeah, I'm going Trinaldo.
Nikolai, I'm pretty sure you agree with that one.
Yep, Nego Mariano.
I do like Rodriguez against Park.
Me too. I'm going Rodriguez.
Jones, Onama, give me Mason Jones.
Jones.
I will go Tabitha Ricci.
All right, I'm going to be a little, just for the picks, I'm going to say Oliveira.
All right. Starpoli, Pickett.
Starpoli.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I will go Jai Herbert against Commonworthy.
Herbert.
I'll go Molina.
I'm going to say Lacerda. I'm worried.
I guess it's probably going to be my only underdog here, Ronda Marcos.
I'll go Marcos.
And then I will take Lavishvili against Martinez.
What? No. Are you really? No,
the
you're
Davey
not.
Grant loss really concerns
No,
me.
you're not. No, you're really not. Are you really?
Yeah, I really am.
Get that. Oh my God. All right, I'm going Martinez. I mean, he could win, right? He's skilled, but I don't see it happening.
Sam, I appreciate you in the super chat with his usual questions here. He did not set, or no, whoa.
Yeah.
Sam,
you're supposed to get better with time. You're getting progressively worse. 5.5.
Sam, you realize there's 14 fights, right?
14 fights, 5.5, bro. Go home. Put yourself in the corner. That's terrible.
I'll set the number at I was thinking either 8.5 or 9.5.
I say 9.5. What are you doing?
9.5. I'm trying to look at ones I think are go the decision here.
I'm saying over.
Yeah, I think you're probably over is probably the right one. Let's see here. Top 2 cash for me. Cash. I would be looking at Marvin Vettori as my number 1 cash play. And my number 2 cash play. Star Poli.
All right, I'm gonna go. I think I like the Marvin Vettori call, but I'll go Grant Dawson and Nego Mariano.
In terms of top 2 GPPs, I probably got to go Nikolai and Herbert. Even though the winner of the main event probably does break the slate.
I would agree with that. I would also look at that Ricci Oliveira fight.
In terms of top underdogs on this card, Junior Park could be an actually he's a slight favorite in that one. That one's maybe someone like a Jocelyn Edwards. Obviously you got to look at Costa if he can pull it off early on in the fight. Got to see the weigh-ins. That's going to be really critical on the evaluation of Paulo Costa.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. I'll say that De Silva, Edwards, and Oliveira are kind of the 3 that I'll have exposure to.
In terms of MVP champions, the ones that really stick out to me, Martin Vettori, Star Poli, Herbert. I hate to say it, but Nikolai.
Yeah, all sound good to me.
Favorite inside the distance fights. I think Nikolai, Ike, Kamaworthy, Ja Herbert, and Costa Vettori.
Yeah, I would agree with the Costa Vettori, and I would say the Worthy Herbert fight.
In terms of fade of the night, when it comes to GPP, it's probably Trinaldo Grant for me.
Yeah, I'm okay with getting away from that fight. I wish I could get away from the first fight, but I feel like I can't.
In terms of upset of the night, it's likely going to happen. Is it Jocelyn Edwards?
Could be. It could be. It's just does she score well enough? Because I don't think she's going to finish Clarke. I think a fighter like Oliveira is sneaky, but probably the underdog of the week that could absolutely smash a hittable opponent would probably be Daniel Da Silva. He's the X factor, has no box score. Nobody knows what the hell he brings to the table. We also have to think we're still waiting on salaries from other fighters too. Like there could be Mason Jones could come in completely underpriced, or maybe his the underdog is stupid cheap or whatnot. But as it stands right now, I do think that Da Silva at 7,500 is a sneaky KO guy.
And of course, so that is going to do it for the strategy show. Myself and Pete will be back here on Saturday for Live Before Lock. Of course, coming up next is NBA Deeper Dive. Start getting ready for tonight's NBA action. As always, appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to watch or listen to us, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us a part of the Awesemo Podcast Network. So, of course, keep it locked here to awesemo.com as we get you ready for tonight's NBA slate. And myself and Pete will talk to you on Saturday for Live Before Lock. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Monkey Knife Fight, and we will talk to you on Saturday. Have a good day, everybody.